Welcome back to Founders in the Field, the show where we go behind the scenes with agency leaders, consultants, and creative founders to show you how they're building, scaling, and staying sane in the trenches. I'm your host, Stefan Bradley, and today's guest is Anthony May, co-founder of Need an Attorney. How are you doing, Anthony?
Hey, great. How about yourself today, Stefan?
I'm very well. I very appreciate you taking the time to come on.
And thank you. I appreciate you actually giving me the chance to come on.
Definitely. Let's dive straight in. For people who don't know your story, take us right back to the start of your journey, what made you start your own business, and give us an overview of what your role looks like today as the co-founder of Need an Attorney.
I got into marketing when I was really young. When I was 20, I started my own business. Found the power of actually what digital marketing really was at that point. It was kind of the Wild West at that point. It was just really crazy. But very quickly, the company that I had went from 2 employees to within 2 or 3 years to 27 employees. And this was in the photography realm. We became one of the largest within the nation, and it just seemed to grow and grow. We had percentages where we were growing 3,000% per year. It was actually very breakneck speed. I sold that company a few years ago, and I really wanted to go ahead and really get more into needs of what actually people really wanted. I was in the art field, and I really thought that was great, but really wanted to make sure to help people. I was recruited in actually to legal marketing. In there, I got to work with some large law firms, got to work with Congress, got to work with some major bills in regards to mass tort acts and passing of those, and it just seemed to snowball from there. I've been recruited into Palo Networks over in California, but really my genre is in regards to legal marketing itself, and I really like actually helping people in that aspect.
So what was it, around 2005 when you started your own business, your first marketing business?
Good Lord, yeah, it's getting that be that old. Yeah, it's about 2005, 2004, somewhere in there.
So you've been in the marketing sector or industry, sorry, for a long time, and I bet you've seen some changes definitely throughout that tenure.
The one thing in digital marketing is that even though it changes and it changes every year, it changes a little bit faster. There are always going to be some consistencies, and there's always a constant of what it is. And you know, and I know, really the kind of the ultimate goal in every marketing we do is that people have an issue, and it may be a company that has an issue, or maybe a person has an issue. And how do I satisfy or actually fix that problem or that need as fast as possible? And that's always been the key to digital marketing on a corporate level, and also somebody actually in their house building a website. And that, as long as we always can remember that piece, is kind of the key for success in regards to the marketing that we do.
No, definitely. So how long would you say that you've been just focusing on legal marketing, and then how long was it until you then started your this business, Need an Attorney?
I started in the legal aspect, I want to say about 10 to 12 years ago. As I said, I got recruited into law and into a small niche area called litigation financing. And there I started to go ahead and getting to work with larger and larger law firms. And at that point, I started doing consulting also in regards to their lead generation, how they're actually getting the right clients, how they're not getting the right clients. And it kind of snowballed from there. And as I got deeper and deeper into this journey, I saw the holes not only on the client side, and them actually receiving the right client, but on the attorney side also. And the attorney wanting to either have the right person for the fit, and also the client actually being actually afraid to actually find the right attorney, and actually the percentages of how many law firms are complaining or clients are complaining about not having the right fit was such a big issue.
So what does your role look like today inside Need an Attorney?
Need an attorney, it's a large endeavor. We're trajectory to go ahead and this year hit over 40,000 pages. And my job in regards to that is a lot of the marketing aspects in it. How are we going to go ahead and be bringing on more law firms, more clients? What's the digital channels actually we're reaching out on? How effective they are, what's the ROI on those pieces? And I can give you about 180 different metrics that we're following at all times. But really the basis of what we do is to go ahead and find the right client for the right attorney, so both of them have the ability on the attorney side to go ahead and say no to the item that they don't want to do, and yes to the clients they do want to serve, and also taking the fear out of the client actually saying, did I get the right attorney? Did I get the best attorney for what I do actually, for what I need right now?
Definitely. So, is it like, just so I have a simple understanding after reading your website, is it like you have a database full of attorneys with no disciplinaries that have very high standard, and then the consumer, the customer, the client then would come through, fill in a form type of thing, and with their details like their location, things like that, and then that you have like an AI system, I think I read that would then match you to the best one. Is that an accurate overview?
That's actually a very, very good way to go ahead and actually place it. To go a little deeper into it, the attorney itself wants a certain type of client. And we go ahead and there's a gazillion different verticals of law. But let's say it's going to be personal injury. And they don't want car accidents, but their specialty is dog bites. And it's Marksville, Louisiana. And that's really where they want to be. So we ask them to go ahead and say, fill out this card. It takes maybe about 3 to 5 minutes. And we go ahead and feed that into the database in regards to the AI. So when somebody comes on board and then a client comes on board and says, I need an attorney for my dog bite, they go ahead and they fill it out. And those pieces are rated. And then from there, the attorney is able to go ahead and select, say, yes, this is the exact client I want. I need to fine tune it a little more. Or if they go ahead and they put a car accident in there and it's not what a car accident, they don't want a car accident or a slip and fall, it actually can go ahead and say, this is not the right attorney for you. This is the right attorney for you. And also based on their success record, their disciplinary actions, and a gazillion other pieces that actually fed into the AI. We try to give the right client to the right attorney at the same time.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant to be fair. Also, like, you're kind of on two folds on the who's your client, because your clients are obviously attorneys that with upstanding no disciplinary and meet certain standard, but also the consumer as well. So you're hitting sort of both sides of the market.
Yeah, and you're right. It is very much the both sides of the market. The client, and I can tell you aspects of what this really is, but it's something. It says 71% of all Americans. I know we're talking, and I'm sorry, it's all guys American aspects because this is what actually the digital marketing is. They don't even know where to start in regards to digital marketing, in regards to getting actually an attorney. And 62% saying finding the right attorney is harder than finding a car. And so this right here was actually a fix for them on the part in regards to they need to go ahead and have that client, or that they need to have that attorney. And so if I can go ahead and make a free service for them to go ahead and use and then parlay it over to the attorneys themselves, and they're actually getting it at a much cheaper rate than they do pretty much anywhere else and not having to vet it through, it's really kind of a home run because it actually connects it instantly from the time they submit it to the phone call over to the law firm itself.
So it's free for we'll call them the consumer, and then I'm guessing the law firm would pay you like per person, or do they pay like a subscription service?
No, they pay for the ones they use. So if they find the right client and they have the right client, that's the only time they pay the money itself. And so it's more or less, it's a very easy layup in regards to what we're doing here, because a lot of lead generation companies will go ahead and give you a flat fee or a subscription base or whatever, but a lot of times it's maybe they're going out to multiple attorneys. Maybe they're going out and they're recycling them. This is one client goes to one attorney, and that's it. And based on their response rate is actually how we actually weed them out also. If the response rate is great, then we keep on going with it. But the same thing, if they can't go ahead and keep up with the demand that we're actually giving them, we have to go ahead and have other attorneys on board.
So then you would probably be reaching out to more attorneys to get them on your database, and then sort of marketing through maybe like ads, SEO, things like that for the consumer.
Attorney-wise, I've been in this market for a long time, so I do, and this is the one realm. And I've been like I said, been in a lot of digital marketing, and I've consulted for a lot of companies. But in legal, it's very much who you know, and so I do have a lot of mixes to that. But I have actually, it was definitely a big outreach outwards, but now actually starting to see a reverse, where actually attorneys are actually coming to us and saying, "Can we be on board?" Well, let's go through the vetting process and make sure that you're actually a good fit for the clients that are coming on board as of currently.
So obviously once they found out once you did some outreach and more, you got the base level of attorneys and law firms on. Now people are actually, it's more become inbound because they're seeing the benefits of it, maybe through referrals and just hearing it on the grapevine, maybe.
Yeah, well, we go ahead and we can even look at Google Ads. For a lot of things, for like car accidents, we're spending for a click. They're anywhere from $100, $300 a click, and let's be honest with you, it's great that they go ahead and actually the profit margin's actually there. But if you get 5 or 6 clicks and nothing happens there, you already spent $1,000 into this piece, and so it's very, very easy for this part to go ahead and say, let me get this right. I don't pay anything. And the only way I pay is if a client actually not only comes to me, but I'm actually able to sign them up. It's a home run. It's more or less a win-win for everybody.
And do you run sort of like ads then for to get the consumer, like need an attorney for them for the consumer then to see and know who you are?
Yeah, I do. We do run a lot of different ads themselves. And I'll tell you, since we do a lot of AI work, a lot of this stuff actually comes up in the AI search itself. And we do rely on old school SEO, making sure that's there also. And those three pieces right there, and depending on what market we are, is actually what channel we're going into, the social media aspect for some of the digital marketing aspects. But for the most part, I have to say the SEO and the AI aspect have been our two biggest actually converters on everything we do, for sure.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a brilliant business. I can sort of like envision like billboards as people are driving down like motorways, need an attorney, like Better Call Saul, but obviously not like that. But I mean like that type of thing because it's such like it's like a no-brainer if you see what I'm saying, because what I mean, if I was in an accident or something like that, and the way you've outlined it there, it just makes the process so we've actually fixed such a big problem in a simple way. So it's really good. I feel like.
Stefan, I've been on both sides. I've been on the side where I've marketed and and I've got leads and I've done this for clients, I've done this for attorneys, but I've also been on the other side where actually I've gone to court. And I'll tell you, being on one side and being on the other, it is more than frightening. I mean, maybe you're going to court over a car accident and you're trying to go ahead and make sure that somebody, what does my life look like after this? It could be family. Maybe you're worried about your kids or this divorce, how's it going to go? And the one thing that's always is so scary is like, did I pick the right person to go ahead and represent me? Do they really understand me? And really, what does their success rate even look like in this whole basically trajectory? And what does this mean for the long run for me? And it's not just me that actually has this. The funny thing is that I've worked with so many attorneys, and they maybe the most confident attorneys on the board. But when they have to go to a case for themselves, they are facing the same exact fears, and they are scared half to death because it is very, very frightening to go ahead and get up in front of a judge and go ahead and say, I hope that I did the right thing in getting this done, because I want to make sure that when I come across the other side, this is the best objective or actually plan that actually could have happened.
No, definitely, the stakes are different when you're on different sides of the fence. I would say definitely.
Yeah, I know. A lot of this is state stuff, and I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But nearly all my people that I speak to, my guests on my show are from America, Canada, so I would have seen a lot of my viewers, would be exactly the same. So, and it's interesting for me to learn because obviously it is different legal systems, but it's definitely interesting.
Oh, it definitely is, and I've done a lot of work over in the in Europe in regards to a lot of litigation funding, and I was like, hey, I understand a lot of this, but some of this I have no clue.
100%. So, Anthony, what are the biggest trends that you're seeing inside your market right now?
Right now, biggest trends, and this is the one thing about legal marketing, is that the legal field moves a little bit slower. And so everybody is a year or two behind in regards to taking that first dive. But of course, everybody sees a huge movement in AI itself. But the biggest factor that I've seen over the past year is regards to actually making sure there's more and more trust. I see actually consumers coming in and they're more cautious of actually what they're doing. They're doing a lot more research than they did a year ago, 3 years ago, and a lot more than they did 5 years ago. Because also everything is coming to them so fast and they're able to go ahead and do this research. But making sure that that trust factor not only is solid, but is solid with them, but also previous clients, is such a big key that everybody seems to miss out, and it's only getting larger and larger and larger.
I feel like AI will have a massive impact on the legal sector, definitely.
Yeah, I'm also seeing. No, I'm sorry. Keep on going.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
saying, like, I was just thinking, like, the things that would taken so long before, a simple workflow now, obviously it would need checking, of course, do you know what I mean? But can take off, 6, 7 hours worth of like research and then drawing things up where it can be drawn up if you have the right workflows and it's trained on your processes, things like that. Obviously, it's not just how some people think it is. I'll just plug it into this AI. If the AI is trained on your processes and all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, then it will obviously need checking, of course, but it will cut out so much time for them, I would say.
Yeah, it used to be I had to go ahead and check 8, 9 different channels to go ahead and really do that. But right now I can go ahead and just say, hey, what is Reddit? What is Katora? What is Facebook? What is the web saying about these one items? So I'm just going to plug it into an AI and go ahead and get a review on that piece. And then that really helps that actually that makes and that cuts out so many hours of time. I'm able then to go ahead and view it in different areas. Maybe it's a pilot trust, or maybe it's a BBB, or whatever it may be, a gazillion different other factors, but they're doing a lot more research in a lot shorter amount of time. So that's actually the biggest piece that I actually see right now, and actually the biggest improvement, not only for my business, but for businesses across the world itself.
From a marketing perspective, where do you think companies will be who don't adopt AI in the next few years? Do you think they will be left behind indefinitely if they don't adopt these practices?
This is not right now. It's not as big as a change as actually the internet being invented, because we had no idea what that even looked like. And hey, I'm going to go ahead and get on Netscape. Remember that? I'm going to go ahead and get on that and go from here to here and here, and it's going to take me an hour and a half to get there. But in regards to what AI is right now, I think that actually answering that question right now, what does it look like? I think it's going to be basically shooting yourself in the foot. And I'm going to say that for right now, but I think in 2 years from now, you might as well go ahead and cut those legs off and cut your arms off, because you're not going to be even existent. So, because AI itself is almost like a small child, and it's learning, learning, and learning. But as it gets older and older and older, and starts making better and better decisions, if you don't get on board right now, you're going to go ahead and have a mountain of issues to go ahead and try to go ahead and get ahead of later on, as we go ahead and go forward with this piece. And like I said, it's still kind of the Wild Wild West, like we were talking about with the internet in 2005. We're kind of in that genre right now with AI, but it's evolving much faster than the internet did, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely, 100%. I have to agree with you there. And like even from your perspective, you've utilized AI like really well in the sense of like it solves a big problem. It helps identify things like that. But even just simple workflows. So like some people might be scared or have anxiety about it, but even just starting with having workflows in place that cut time, speed to lead when a lead comes in, being able to shrink that time and things like that. I feel like even if just starting with things like that will eventually lead you, the curiosity will lead you to more bigger breakthroughs, similar to what you've done.
Well, I can even tell you of course, I work in about 5 or 6 different AIs on a daily basis. But my processes have changed dramatically over the last year. And when I started working, when I was at Palo Alto Networks and started working with their AI aspects, I can tell you that's drastically different than what it is now. But that has to do with not only the side of me learning, but also the AI itself and its learning. The ability to go ahead and bring Python into these pieces on zip files and go ahead and run numbers and what's the metrics on this and what's my trajectory curve on these pieces. Even like 6 to 8 months ago, is completely different than what it is actually right now. Sorry. So, with that, like I said before, if we're not actually on board in regards to the AI train, you will go ahead and you'll be left at the stand, and you're going to have pretty much nothing to go ahead and fall back onto.
Yeah, no, I have to agree 100% with you there. Anthony, just shifting gears a little bit, what's working well at Need an Attorney, and where do you still feel slight friction?
Well, things that are actually working well at Need an Attorney. The AI itself is actually doing a phenomenal job. The very beginning, it was a little bit difficult making sure to go ahead and get things to line up, but like I talked about, it's a learning process. And as it learns, it actually gets smarter and smarter and smarter, and actually we start actually doing different suggestions to go ahead and get the right attorney at the right time. But currently, what is not working well, making sure that making sure that the client, when they actually come on board, making sure that that friction and that ability to go ahead and take that first step is always going to be the biggest piece. And that is going to be, as always, a trust factor. It's very, very scary taking that initial plunge into I'm hiring an attorney and go ahead and telling them that, hey, this is a one-stop shop. We've got the attorney for you. All you got to do is put this information in. So actually making sure that they know that, hey, you're not under any obligation. That consultation is probably going to be free, and you're probably going to work on the contingency depending on what you have. Maybe it's a personal injury. If it's IP, there may be an hourly rate involved, or whatever it may be, is really the biggest friction point. And trying to go ahead and alleviate that, to go ahead and make people more and more comfortable, has been the biggest factor. But I've also seen that in the last few months, that has actually really started to go ahead and go through the roof in regards to a trajectory of actually convincing people this is the way to go. But I think that's always going to be something that is never done. That avatar always changes, and making sure that they have, and making sure that we're actually tuned into them is the key on that part.
So would you say then it was easier, not easier, but it was, the attorney, on the attorney side, they were more, not easy, I can't think of another word, but they were more, they adopted the idea of AI helping them more faster than on the consumer side there was a little bit more doubt, but now it's changing. You think it's moving a lot more faster?
I would say that actually there was caution on both sides. As you talked about before, people are afraid, and let's be honest, with change, everybody's afraid. Hey, was AI going to do this? It's going to do this. Is it going to turn into a Terminator? We're all scared of that stuff. There's no question. But just as you talked about before, if you don't get on board, it's not going to matter if you do or if you don't in regards to the AI. It's going to evolve. It's going to change. And if you don't get on board, then you are going to be left behind. So a lot of these attorneys, especially a lot of the younger ones, see this part. And they go ahead and say, hey, they're more easy and they're more wanting to go ahead and do this. So a lot of those things, a lot of those attorneys and those clients were actually much faster to adopt. The ones like we have like a state attorney plannings, those ones, usually a lot of times a little bit of an older genre, the attorneys on that side and also the clients on that side have a little bit of a harder time actually doing that because, hey, is this AI listening to me, or what is it thinking about over here, or is it going to go ahead and get up and do something? And that's those things right there are kind of like the biggest factor. But both of them on both sides, there was friction to say the least, because we're going to have that. But as we get more and more to a consistency of AI as an everyday element now, and it's everything we do, it becomes an easier and easier, actually, not even a selling point, but actually an ease to go ahead and say, this is the way to go.
I feel like it's just natural that is, as well as it's still early in the days of adopting AI. So any company that's gone all in on it, people are have a little bit of anxiety. But I always say, like, action cancels anxiety. So like when you're actually in it and you're working on it and in it and in it and using it, then it sort of cancels the anxiety out. Whereas if you're not using it every day, like, it could be a plumber that's got in a car accident or something like that. You don't use it every day. I can completely understand, because there's no action of you trying to understand it or working with it, because you don't need to yet. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely the people who are actioning and using it, the anxiety is lessened.
But you know that throughout history, that's the way it always has been. They always made a song about it. The first step is always the hardest. That's exactly what it is. Because if you're not used to it, that's that scariness. But once you go and you take that first step and go, oh, okay, this, my computer's not listening to me or whatever it may be. This is exactly what I want, and this is actually an easier way of doing it. And let's go ahead and see. Let's do this and this and this. And that was the genesis of needing an attorney. I couldn't do this 5, 6 years ago. It would take me a amount of resources would have been impossible. But actually using AI to go ahead and actually generate a lot of this pieces of actually how we actually created this company has been a amazing change that I think that I'm very, very excited to go into with the future. Am I still scared of it? Yes. I can't lie to you and say I'm not. But I'm super excited to go ahead and see what's going to happen in the future in regards to AI and what we do and actually how it's used in a business aspect.
So would you say you're more focused now on getting the consumer to use the service, or to get more attorneys on the business to create a bigger database on that side?
It depends on what day you ask me. Let's be honest. We have right now, it's kind of equal. But when we open up verticals, that is when we actually see a major change. And that's always the hard part, and it actually goes day by day. There may be days where, hey, we need more clients coming in, but there are also other days where we go ahead and we have too many clients coming in and we don't have enough attorneys. Because as you know, opening a floodgate on Google when it actually, everything is operating right, when it actually hits, it's like turning on the hose full blast. And that's exactly what it is. And so making sure that we actually have the right attorney for the right client. And also, I've got to go ahead and pay attention to them as, are they able to take on more business? Because that's another whole factor in itself. And there are some attorneys that we work with and they have phenomenal records. But actually having an open schedule is a whole other factor. And as we've actually started this process, they realize that they have the ability to go ahead and say no to some of the projects they necessarily didn't want to do before, and have more of the ability to go ahead and take the clients who are actually sending to them to go ahead and do that. So, like I said, it's a day-by-day piece on what that friction is at, and it never is 50-50. It always is actually fluctuating, but that's part of what we actually do, and that's part of actually a lot of the sales team and what they do in making sure that they have not only the right attorneys, but they're actually, their intake forms are right, and actually the right clients coming forth through forms. So that part hopefully can go ahead and offset this piece. So it's constantly just us trying to go ahead and raise this piece to go ahead and keep up with this piece.
And what sort of like outreach channels, like are you using like text, SMS, cold calling to get? I know you obviously have really strong inbound now, but when there's days come where you need more attorneys, how do you outreach to get more people on, would you say?
Well, when I need more attorneys, like I said, we always have a lot of face-to-faces. Legal world is just that, a lot of face-to-face. Email campaigns don't work great. LinkedIn campaigns don't work great. But I can tell you, I spoke to Jeff over in J&J, Partners 5 years ago. I can go ahead and just call him up on the phone and just say, hey, you remember this? Remember this? This was a kind of a crazy aspect in regards to this type of client. And they're automatically on board because they say, hey, what are you doing now? Or maybe they, hey, Anthony, I know I've called you about this before. I want to go ahead and be on board. That's the most effective channel. But as we talked about before, it all has to do with that trust aspect that we've talked about. That I say that's the piece that's always missing. That trust aspect is 100% of what it is. I wasn't able to go ahead and get those clients and get those attorneys on board without that one piece. And not only that, is that even when Jay from J&J Partners, he's still looking me up on the internet. He's still looking at Google. He's still using AI. He is still looking at Facebooks. He's still looking at TikToks. He's looking at other campaigns that are actually doing what's going on in regards to their digital marketing aspects and how their digital marketing team. So it's not going to be, hey, I'm going to go ahead and sign you up and I'm going to go ahead and have 180 attorneys tomorrow just by going through a Rolodex. They are still doing their due diligence because their name's on the line also, and they do not want to go ahead and take a client that's not worthwhile for them.
No, definitely. There's a lot of, you have to be certain, especially in the industry that you're in. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of, like you say, due diligence needs to be done on both sides. But yeah, no, definitely. Speaking to people that you've had relationships with before, when you say, "Do you remember me?" will always, because they're slightly warm, definitely. So they will always, the trust is already sort of there, definitely. So you can see why that would work more effectively.
Like I said, legal marketing is always a little bit behind. And not only that, is that all these attorneys, we go to a lot of trade shows, they all talk. All of them talk. And I found this out at a very, very early age in regards to legal digital marketing, that if J&J Partners is actually using somebody, he's telling everybody about it. He's also saying the goods and the bads about it. Like I said, there's a lot of young attorneys. There's always new attorneys, but there's a lot of attorneys that are 80 years old and they have no idea where to go and get from point A to point B. So yes, the internet is great. Yes, emails are great, or LinkedIn or whatever. But some of those factors and some of those really, really large firms, you have to go ahead and have a touch not only with somebody on the outside, but eventually is going to go ahead and work that to the inside itself too.
So, Anthony, where do you want to be in the next 12 to 18 months in terms of business?
Successful, let's be honest. Quite honestly, in the next 12 to 18 months, I would like for us to go ahead and have at least 40,000 pages on the site. I'm hoping to go ahead and open this up actually for another 3 verticals in the third quarter of this next year. And I'm hoping that we can go ahead and have a neighborhood of about 60,000 pages on the site itself. And that's where I'd like to go ahead and be in the in this marketing space itself. We're already over quite a few verticals across the nation, not only helping big towns, but actually helping small, tiny towns throughout the whole U.S. And eventually, I'd like to go ahead and see if we could grow this to actually over to your side, across the pond itself.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a good idea that I feel like it's just like everywhere would want this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know, it just solves such a big problem or a big pain that people have if when they are in these situations. I feel like it's definitely something that could go global 1,000,000%.
Yeah, and like I said before, this is something that was a business, but also it's got a lot of emotion in the part that I do. I've been on that side, and I'm scared half to death, and I just don't want anybody else to have to go through it. I want to make sure that if they've got kids, their kids are taken care of, and this is the best opportunity. They got a business and it's got an IP problem that they're able to go ahead and make sure when they reach out and somebody's infringing on it, they know who to go ahead and talk to and who's going to get it fixed for them. And if they're in a car accident and they broke their leg, they just need to be able to go ahead and heal and work on getting their leg better and not have to worry about this other aspect and basically be able to go ahead and focus on the things they need to focus on. And that was really the genesis, and it's still the driving force of what Need an Attorney is and the reason why I go to work every day.
Definitely, that's clearly your why and your mission. But even from the aspect of other attorneys out there, it's like a no-brainer to me. And it's almost like, why wouldn't you want every attorney that is of a certain standard with no disciplinaries on that database? And why wouldn't they want to be in a database like that basically prints money for them? Do you know what I mean? It does the hard work for them. Do you know what I mean? It literally just sends you don't pay anything until the client comes through, the customer, consumer, however you want to frame it, comes through to you. So it's almost like on both sides of it, it's like such a no-brainer.
Yeah. And and the attorneys that we've actually worked with are telling us the same exact thing, that where have you, and more or less the conversation is, where have you been for the last 15 years? And the response is going to be, hey, this couldn't be done 15 years ago. This exists now is because this is the only way it could exist from now, because this wasn't possible 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, 100%. So my last question, final question is, Anthony, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one bottleneck in your business, what would it be and why?
Oh, good Lord. How much time we got? If I could fix one bottleneck right now, and of course this is going to be the way it always is, and you're going to go ahead and hear this from every digital marketer, but making sure that Google not only gets us they're able to populate the information, but serves to the client faster. Gets that information into the database faster and actually is able to serve it. But that's a bottleneck I'm never going to be able to fix. I understand why Google has it in. Like I said, I've been in this from 2005. So I've seen the reason why Google or Yahoo or Bing or whatever has to go ahead and slow these processes down. And I understand that. So there's a lot of times where I have a bankruptcy client over in Iowa is trying to find us, and they're filling out a personal injury form because maybe that piece is not indexed in Google just yet, or maybe it is. Maybe it's not being. Maybe it's self-indexed. It's not actually in the system itself. But that's the one piece that I wish I could change in the bottleneck. But that's just something with time that we have to go ahead and kind of deal with, and just let this kind of bake in the oven as it is, and serve it to more and more. And every day we see large movements on that, but it's never going to be something that's going to be done.
No, definitely. It's something that you strive for, but it's probably never going to get to that mastery level of completion, probably.
Yeah, But Stefan, as you know, in business, that's the thing that drives us. Never having something complete is the part that is the reason why we go ahead and get up and work. I love having tasks to go ahead and do and problems to go ahead and fix, but I think I'd probably lose my mind that if I woke up one day and there was no problem to fix.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like as entrepreneurs as well, like that's what fuels us. You know, like you said, then if it was all kind of like done, then it's kind of like I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to find another problem.
It would be your last day because as all entrepreneurs, we drive on that ability to go ahead and find a hole and try to fill it. That's the piece that's great. But once that hole is filled, you can't stay around because it's almost like everything gets sucked out of you. And so that's the constant want and the ability is to want to go ahead and fix a problem for somebody else or even for yourself. And a lot of times both of them are both the same.
No, definitely. So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your insights into your unique business, definitely. Where can my viewers and listeners find you, reach out to you, and would you mind giving the Need an Attorney website for our American listeners as well?
Yeah, no problem. It's like we talked about before. You can find me over at needattorney.net, let's be honest. but you can also find me on LinkedIn. I think, what is my, good Lord, my LinkedIn, I want to say it's Anthony May 2. And you can go ahead and find me over on LinkedIn. And that's pretty much the two places that you can reach me at all times. If you want to email me, help@needattorney.net. And I'll go ahead and have myself or the team go ahead and respond to you. But that's where I spend all my days at, are on those two places.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you for taking the time out of your early morning, especially. And yeah, thank you. We got some valuable insights into that. I really enjoyed that episode.
Well, Stefan, I just want to say thanks for actually the time. I know that you get a lot of people that want to go ahead and talk about their journeys and what they do. But it's really something to go ahead and actually be able to not only have a deep conversation about this, but actually be able to go ahead and kind of share my vision with not only you, but with everybody else. And I appreciate you just giving me the time to go ahead and talk about it.
No, you're welcome. Pleasure's all mine. Now, everybody listening, please like, comment, subscribe, go and send it to your friend. If anyone has had an injury, go and hit Anthony up, and stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks, Anthony.
Bye.